Hello, travel staff and friends. How are you? And thank you for being here today. This is step 3 in my Travel Nurse 101 course. And you can get full access to my entire course on my Travel Staff First Facebook page. Just ask to request to join Travel Staff First. You can join there. I'm Chad McDowell, Travel Nurse Advocate and Recruiter with Summit Medical Staffing, former college volleyball coach and fitness professor for 20 years, turned travel nurse recruiter. One of the most rewarding things I get is being an advocate and helping others find success. And knowing they got into travel nursing, making the right decision for them. Because I want to be an advocate to help you every step of the way and support you. Okay? So, this is step 3. And in the process, we talked about step 1 and step 2 already. I've got handouts and newsletters that I can give you, email you, or they're also in my Travel Staff First site. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Those are the best places, okay? So we talked about finding a recruiter, an agency that you trust, that you want to work with, submitting paperwork so you're ready to submit for a job, okay? So now, you're ready. You're excited. You want to submit for a job. You know your start date. You know time off that you want to request. And you know what you're looking for. Okay, so first, ask your recruiter and the agency or multiples that you're working with, what jobs do you have available in these states that I'm looking for? Maybe you're looking West Coast, East Coast, South, Midwest, or maybe you're just looking for good pay and whatever. Night shift, day shift, all that stuff. Have them look for jobs. What do you have available? Send them to you. Some agencies have job boards on their own web pages where you can look. But I recommend ask your recruiter. You say, hey, Chad, what do you have in East Coast? I'm flexible on shift. And I'm looking for this pay range. Or whatever. I'm an ICU nurse. I can do medical, surgical. Make sure they know what you're qualified to do because they're going to be looking at the job descriptions. Med surg, ortho, neuro, whatever, spine, trauma. What experience do you have, and what are you looking for? So they're going to look for those specific jobs. They're going to look through the job descriptions, make sure you're a good fit. They're going to look at the pay and start dates, and they're going to bring you jobs. Say, here it is. Here's the job description. Here's the pay. Step 1. Okay. The next step you can also do is you can research yourself. The most popular place that I hear nurses searching for jobs is Vivian. Okay? So go to Vivian, check it out, look for jobs. Recruiters are posting random jobs from all different agencies across the country and the world, really, posting travel nursing jobs in the United States. Look for those there. You can also look on Facebook groups. Okay? And Wanderly is another one, but not as popular as Vivian. But Facebook groups is another great place where recruiters hop on, communicate with travel nurses, and post jobs all the time. Okay? Some ones I pointed out and highlighted on my little newsletter here are Summit MedStaff Travelers Climb to New Heights. That's ours. ICU travel nursing jobs. Florida travel nurses and allied healthcare. Premium travel nursing jobs. And travel nursing, semicolon, the premium job board. Those are just a few, okay? And there's lots. They have specific, like the ICU nursing jobs, they have specific specialties, they have states, or they just have a job board, period. Lots of job boards. Recruiters are on there all the time, waiting to help and give feedback, and they're posting jobs on there. Okay? Now, one caveat I want you to consider that's important. When you see a job on Vivian or see a job on Facebook, ask the recruiter about it. Or, better yet, I tell every person I work with, if you see a job you like on a Facebook page or you see it on Vivian, reach out to me, ask me if I have access to the facility and what I can pay. I promise I will always be competitive in pay or beat the pay. That's always my goal. And if I can't, I'll tell you. And if I don't have access to the facility, I'll tell you. But best yet, if you have a good relationship with that recruiter, follow up with them and say, hey, do you have access to this job and how much can you pay? Because a lot of agencies have the same jobs. They don't all have the identical jobs, but a lot of them have the same ones. Okay? But do this. If you reach out to the recruiter that posted it, do that, because this is important, because travel nursing jobs move so fast that not every post is 100% accurate and up to date, because the pay fluctuates and jobs open and close all the time. And another thing about Vivian is it's not always a human posting it, because sometimes the Vivian interacts with the database of the agency and just pulls open jobs from their database in the parameters and posts jobs. It's not always even a human posting it. So if they don't have their database correct and the numbers correct, the numbers won't be right in the job either. So don't assume that everything you see on Facebook and Vivian is 100% accurate and it's open, because sometimes it's closed, sometimes the pay is off. Ask the recruiter or ask your own recruiter you're working with. Okay? Good. All right. Next, know what bill rate is. Bill rate is what the hospital defines as their budget. That's the top number that they define for their budget. And so the bill rate might be 80, 90, 100, 120, whatever. That's what we can bill the facility for your services, and your money is defined by that. And a lot of times there's a vendor on the hospital side that acts as kind of like the HR and then market the open position, so the facility doesn't have to do that and all that fun stuff. And then there's a staffing agency. So the vendor gets a percentage of marketing the open positions and working as kind of the funnel to get nurses to the facility. And then there's a staffing agency that recruits the nurses and works with the vendor to bring them qualified nurses, get them through compliance, interact with the nurses, develop those relationships, and help place them at facilities. Okay? They're going to get a percentage of that as well. And then the nurse gets everything else. And so that's basically, but the bill rate defines how much you should get paid. Okay, an 80 bill rate is going to get paid less than 120, right? Okay, but here's the kicker. If you ask your recruiter what the bill rate is on that job, and they say, "I'm sorry, I can't tell you that," red flag. Plain and simple, red flag. Any recruiter you talk to at Summit Medical Staffing will tell you what the bill rate is. Okay, and we have no problem doing that. We have full transparency. This is what I absolutely love about my leadership, my company, the people I work with, is that we want full transparency between ownership and recruiters and nurses, you name it. We will talk about bill rate. There's nothing to hide. And it actually helps me communicate with nurses sometimes. Okay, so if you're on here, have you asked your recruiter about bill rate? Share it with me below. Let me know. Have you had that conversation? Okay. Have you asked your recruiter about jobs on Vivian? Let me know if you've done that as well, okay? So I will share that, and it helps me say to a nurse, oh, that's a lower bill rate, that's a higher bill rate, so the pay is going to be better. So we're all on the same page. You need to be transparent. We need to have trust in that relationship, number one. We need to trust each other, okay? Before submitting to a job, research the location. St. Louis, Missouri, Atlanta, Georgia, wherever, Portland, Oregon, Tacoma, Washington. Research the area. Okay, is it a safe area? Whatever. Research the facility. Does the facility get good reviews? Travel nurses, different things, will post their reviews about the facility. Then research availability for housing. And I'm going to do a whole post on housing in the future, but research housing availability and costs. Okay, so you can look on Airbnb, you can look on Facebook, you can look on VRBO, you can look on furnished finders, like already furnished, furnishedfinders.com. That's another great place to go. That's short-term rentals. A lot of travel nurses on there all the time. So, is there good housing available? Is it affordable? Does it work with the pay and the stipends I'm getting in for my job? Okay, which takes me to the next conversation. Understand stipends. Okay, stipends is what makes travel nursing unique. Okay, because when I create your budget and I create your pay, I use the bill rate from the facility, and I put together your hourly, your overtime, your holiday rate pay, and I communicate all that. And then I look at the location. So Portland, Oregon might have a higher stipend or cost of living than Kansas City, Missouri, or Des Moines, Iowa, for example. Okay? So the stipends are based upon the location. And the stipends are defined by the government, and it's the maximum amount of money that I can pay you or an agency can pay a nurse for secondary housing and meals while they're on location at a different facility. Some facilities require you to be so many miles away from home, like 50 miles, 70 miles, 100 miles away from home to get those stipends. And it is justified by the government because you're going to have to pay for secondary housing. And if you're not doing that, then you probably shouldn't get stipends. But work with the recruiter to understand that and when to use them and when to not. But stipends is the maximum amount of money that I can pay a nurse for secondary housing and meals while they're on a contract and assignment. The kicker is it's tax-free. You don't report it as pay. It's tax-free because it's used to spend on your housing and your meals. You can go to gsa.gov. And let's see, I say gsa.gov. I actually give the instructions on my handout, so I'll give you there which things to click on. But you go to per diem, and you can actually research rates in every city and every state. And you can check and balance whether your recruiter is maximizing your stipends or not. Because I try to maximize your stipends so that you can get as much money as you can, and the government allows me to pay for your secondary housing and your meals while you're on contract somewhere. Okay, so understand what stipends are. Have that conversation. Then ask your recruiter and your agency, are you able to customize my pay? This is interesting because at Summit Medical Staffing, I can help customize your pay so I can put more into hourly, I can maximize your stipends, I can give you travel reimbursement to get there and get back, not every day, but get there once at the beginning and get back at the end of your contract. And there's some tax benefits to all of these, right? Reimbursement for travel. If we're maxing out your stipends, there's tax benefits there because that isn't taxed. Hourly is taxed. So do you have the ability to customize your pay based upon your scenario? And there's different scenarios that exist in your travel nursing career or your life in general where it might be helpful to consider that. Ask your recruiter if they can do that. Okay? And the last thing I guess I want to reinforce was, again, housing research, and I mentioned that earlier. Okay? So look at housing costs, VRBO, Airbnb, furnishedfinders.com, Facebook groups, and figure out if housing is affordable with the stipends that you're going to get from that job. Okay? So, on average, I think the average stipend for housing minimum is $686 a week, I want to say, tax-free. I've seen it as high as $1,000 a week for housing. And so what does the housing look like at that location, and are you able to get housing affordable with that stipend that you get? Okay, so great questions. I would love for you to get free access to this entire course. Message me here, ask to join, send me your email. Let me know if you're enjoying this content. So far, this is step 3 in an 8-step process, and I would love to help you get your first travel nursing job, because it's super exciting and it's super awesome for a lot of people, but it's not the best answer for everybody. And that's why I'm here, to help you walk through that process, make sure you make the right decision for you as your advocate. Okay? Thank you for what you do. I really, really, really appreciate it. I'm super grateful for it and super humbled by what you do every single time I talk to a nurse. So humbling. It's super important, and you're appreciated here with myself and with Summit Medical Staffing. So keep being awesome, and find a recruiter that listens. Find a recruiter that cares. All right? I wish you the best, and I'll see you next time for step 4. Take care.